Alright guys, welcome back. So today is Friday, or Thursday, not Friday, tomorrow's Friday. We're waiting for a big snowstorm to get here, and nothing much going on other than tracks are just put back on the skid loader so I can play in our muddy mess out there. So yeah, tracks are back on the skid loader. Waiting for the snowstorm to get here. Hopefully they're wrong and hopefully go south. We don't get this 18 inches of snow they're talking about. But talk about a few things that's going on. People keep asking whatever about a few things. Some of the things that are going on, obviously you've seen the trees are tapped. Hopefully this coming week the weather gets right so the sap will actually flow. Yesterday I tapped 75 trees total. I didn't tap them. I drilled 75 holes. You guys saw the woods that I was in. I didn't tap all those trees. I tapped a couple of them out there. I think I put 10 taps in. And then I went up on top of the hill where I've been cutting firewood and whatnot, opening that up for grass to grow. There's 3 trees up there I want to say. I've never tapped them before. I tapped those 3 trees. None of them were running. And you guys saw in the other woods, in my sugar bush, there was, I think, 2 trees that were actually dripping, flowing, running. But then I went on my south property line where I've been cutting firewood out of the last couple of years, opening that up. And I have never tapped trees down there because it's on the north side of a hill, so it's normally always shaded. And my sugar bush up there is a south-facing slope, and the snow usually melts there first, and those trees usually always run first. Well, I decided to go back there, and I don't know, most of the trees that I drilled holes in were back there. Basically, I drilled holes just to see. I want to just kind of watch them and see if they run. Because that's only, I don't know, between a half acre to an acre there, pie shaped. If those trees run good enough, maybe in the future these trees would leave and this will be all become pasture. It all depends. There's some things in the works that could change a lot of different things. So basically I just tapped them to see what's going on. There was 2 trees back there that were dripping, 2 or 3. So there were some of them back there that were running, but the rest of them weren't. But the day that I tapped, we were mid-50s when I tapped, and that was in the afternoon. And the night before that, only got down to 46. So chances are the trees were flowing the day before. It being never cooled back down, the sap didn't run back down the tree. So that wasn't a very good day to tap them, but yesterday was 61, today was 46-ish, or no, 43, something like that. 42 is the high today, and tomorrow I believe the high is like right around freezing, 33, 34, something like that. So tomorrow nothing will probably flow at all. But it's supposed to get down in the single digits here a couple nights this coming week, so that'll help the trees shrink, contract, whatever you want to call it. And then once it warms back up, they'll expand, and that's what makes the sap flow. So that's to come. There will be videos of collecting sap, boiling sap, finishing sap, that kind of thing. I'm a very low, very small production, low cost production operation, so it's nothing very fancy. So bear that in mind. It's nothing like Josh Time or any of them guys that have nice big setups or nothing. This is for personal use. I originally started doing this as I didn't grow up doing this. I started doing this 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whenever it was I bought the line. We started that year with buckets. And then I saw this tubing. I went and bought that, and we switched over to that in the middle of it. I started doing it because of the kids. It was something that, they weren't in school. I'm in the house all day. As soon as the wife gets home from work, go out and try and do chores, and that's the whole winter time. Well, come spring, this is something to do between now and spring planting and stuff, so it kind of breaks up the winter a little bit. So that's what got me started doing this, and it's like I say, it's small, it's low production here, low cost production, so keep that in mind. It's nothing too fancy, but you know, there's you guys out there that have a couple trees, tap them. It's something to do. It's fun to do. It passes the time, whatever. So that's the maple syrup deal. One of the other questions, yes, I tag all my cows, all my calves when they're born, except for the bull calves, unless they are spoken for to be kept as a bull for breeding. This year I do not have any that are spoken for. They remain bulls until fall. I castrate a month after I wean. That way they don't have all the stress at one time. Normally I try to wean around October, November. Let them get over the weaning situation, get away from mom and all that. And then I castrate, vaccinate a month later, 3 weeks later, booster. So if any of my normal customers last year, almost a year from today, if you look back at my very first video, February 25th, has been 1 year. So this Saturday is 1 year making videos on YouTube. If you look back, my very first video was jumper bulls. I had 9 bulls last year that were sold to clients that I've dealt with for years that buy, normally it's every other year they buy bulls. So, there's other questions. We have a big bull. We trade him off every couple years. He's over at my buddy's, the pig farmer. Me and him own the bull together. We swap back and forth. The bull is here for as long as I want, then it's gone, whatever. And every once in a while we do AI a cow or whatever. And we are planning on getting into more AIing and probably not owning a bull anymore. But that's to come down the road. I need to go through the class for AI breeding. I've never done it. I have a really good friend and a father-in-law who are both repro specialists, both do AIing and stuff like that. So one of them will probably teach me how to do it. I don't know. That's down the road. So yes, all my females are tagged or were tagged once upon a time. They all have names. I know who they are. I'm with them every day. Most of the day, I know who they are. So there was a question, if I tagged or whatever, then I know who they all are. That's not a big thing. When I'm with them every day, they're kind of like my kids. So some of them, you can have twins, you know who they are. Anyways, I know who they all are. So that's that. And when they go through the chute this spring to get vaccinated for lepto and all the other fun stuff, they'll probably all get new air tags again. But I just haven't worried about it because I know who they are, whatever. So that's that deal. And then the shed thing. The shed thing is kind of a big thing. The shed I do not think will happen this year because, like I said previously, there's some other things in the works that are going to take priority over a new building. What I'm thinking for this year is just adding on to what I have for the cows. Right now, there's 36 feet of roof, but there's no north side of it. I'm planning on adding another 36 feet or a little better on the same roof, and then I want to build the north side of that so there's for bedding on the north side or hay or whatever. And then down the road, if I build a new building for the cows or when I build a new building for the cows, all the shed that I have here that the cows and cattle are in now, I can use for storing other things. Or I could always take the stuff to the east of the shed down and reuse that on the new cattle shed or whatever. I'm not afraid to build something and take it back down. I'm not afraid to put a fence. I'm not afraid to move fence. I'm not afraid to take fence down. Ask my wife. Every year I change all kinds of fencing. I'm not afraid to do that kind of thing. I build most stuff myself, so that doesn't scare me. So that's probably what's going to happen this year. What I'm going to say right now is woodshed, vet shed, horse barn edition, because I really want 2 to 3 calving pens available all the time where I don't have to kick the horse out. And then storage inside for the horses' hay, hay for the calving pens, and bedding for the calving pens. There. Instead of right now, the horse hay is outside. I got to cover with tarp, and I hate tarps. I hate plastic. It's just a pain in the butt, and I've been doing this for, I built the shed, I think 3 years ago now. It's going to get finished. And then, like I say, this part behind where the cows are now, shop is getting a bunch of work done to it. Those of you that are wondering about the shop is going to go back to its original size. We're going to spray foam the ceiling and then all the corners, trying to get it sealed up better. The neighbor is probably going to blow another 16 inches of insulation up above. And then we're going to close the rafters off up here and try and make it so nothing can get up there. New door with an opener, because I'm tired of getting in and out of the skid loader to open and close the door, which is a pain in the butt. Door's open too long, lets all the heat out, all that happy stuff. If I put a loader on the 6400, it's going to sit in here. I'm going to use it more and the skid loader less. I am trying to find TMR mixer, so that means I will have to run them both in and out, so door opener would be nice. It is not going to be an overhead door. It's either going to be just an 18-foot wide sliding door, or it's going to be bifold doors or something. Not sure on that yet. But the shop is going to go back to 30 by 48 or 30 by 45, just because there's some other things coming up in the future that I'm going to need the shed space for, the shop space to work on. It's going to be winter projects. And you can't see it right now, but right there where that 2x4 is, I can take that insulation, put it back up on top of there, and then I can always hang the tarp back up across here. Tarps are not a wall, but the tarp hanging there at 24 feet makes a huge difference in keeping most of the heat on this side and less heat over there. That's kind of the plan with that. And then all my current lights are going to disappear, and on the bottom of the trusses we're going to put LED lights, strip lights. And I'm probably going to put on 2 separate circuits. This half of the shop on this side of the 2x4 on one circuit, and that half on the separate circuit. That's the shop deal. And then I've just mentioned not too long ago about raising this roof on my washroom, making that south-facing wall taller, and building a solar passive heat setup. That's the plan with that, and the storm must be here because now the wind is starting to blow and I can hear my door starting to creak. So those are the building projects for this year. More discussion on the new cattle sheds. I need to go downtown and talk to a couple people. We have a lumber mill in town it's a sawmill, lumber mill. I mean, they make posts, boards, all that stuff, treat boards, all that. And then there's another company in town that makes laminated boards, laminated boards, whatever. I thought somebody told me they can basically make posts or boards as long as you want them. I don't know. I need to find out, because the shed that I really want to build is going to kind of look like a freestyle barn, where you have the center alley down the middle. Then on each side you'll have where the cattle stand eat, which we're going to call a scrape alley. And then beyond that there'll be gates and then bedding pack. Okay. Well, I want my one roof line to come here, and then I want my next roof line to start like 4 feet or 7 feet down, probably 4 feet. I can't remember how long the eave lighting comes standard lengths at Menards. But I want, so there's like 4 feet of eave light right here to let the sun in the winter shine through into where the steers are going to be, because steers are going to be in the north, cows are going to be in the south, just how I have it, an idea of how I want it laid out for my vet building, for getting animals in and out and sorting and everything through my chute. So I need to see how long I can get those laminated boards, because these laminated boards are what they use above really wide door spans for support for your roof. And I know other guys that have bought these and used them for roof trusses because they're so much stronger than a regular 2x, but they're cheaper and you can get them, more. If you just use a 2x12 or whatever, then you have a lot more space up above you for the bales and when you're bedding and all that kind of thing. So I need to see about those. Then I need to get a price on mono trusses, your loafing barn truss. Maybe if I can't get these long enough, if you put one of them up there and then just build lean-to coming out this way so I still get the sun to come through. Then I need to talk to, if I go that route, I need to talk to a buddy of mine who I go to church with, who built the addition on our church. See if he could work me up a price on building me that type of roof, and then I would finish everything. I just want them to set the main posts, put the roof on, put the steel on, and then I'll finish everything else. Just because for setting those kind of trusses is going to take a crew of guys and it'd just be faster. Or second idea is just loafing barn type trusses. Instead of going 96 feet long, I would double the length and then basically have it so the overhang is over top of the bunks, and try and keep it so the bunks would be underneath the overhang. Or if I have them put it high enough, I could still build kind of a thing over and cover my feed alley. But there you're wasting money because now you're twice as long, you're a whole other roof, and you know, the whole 9 yards. So that would be the other idea. The biggest thing is I'm tired of, on the lot where they're eating right now, all the ice and snow build up and their feed getting wet. Cows aren't such a big deal because they eat hay most of the time. They only get a little bit of silage. Basically that's to get them their minerals and stuff. So the cows basically stay at the bunk until it's gone. They're normally done eating their silage within half an hour, then they got to eat hay the rest of the day. So the cows I'm not as worried about. But with the steers, they're normally just finish and clean up the bunk an hour or two before I feed the next day. So their feed is more imperative that it's out of the weather, because every time it snows, I've got bunks, you know, their bunk is full of snow on top of their feed and they don't want to eat it. So that's the biggest thing. Well, I'm looking at the shed, so it's one of those two, or just add on to what I have, try and figure something else out for a rain gutter. I have fixed rain gutters, put rain gutters on, they fall apart, the snow takes them off. Try and figure out something better for rain gutter. That would help a lot. Pour more concrete would help a lot. You know, all those type of things. So those are the 3 ideas. I am not going to just go with wind blocks and then animals be outside. It's probably fine, but I feel real bad for them having to stand on the freezing rain that we have here fairly often. You know, snow is nothing, but here we get a lot of freezing rain and the wind is normally blowing, and I would just rather them have a roof to go underneath and feel better. Than the bedding stays dry, you use less bedding, the whole 9 yards, you know. So that's kind of my ideas with the cattle buildings. This part on what I have now, I'm going to try and do this year. It's not going to cost that much to go another 36 feet. Most of the posts are there for the one part of it. And then I'd like to do the north part of it. So this year, I don't know. I'm not going to bale all my corn stalks. I want to chop a bunch of them with my old Super 717. I've done this in the past. I really like the chop bedding over round bale bedding because I can just go in there with the skid loader, grab a bucket, shake it out. I'm done. I don't use near as much bedding that way. So I want to do this north part off there for the bedding. And like I say, if I were to still build another cow building or cattle shed, these other buildings could stay here and I could put hay in them, I could put bedding in them, I could put equipment in them, put whatever. And so this part is going to get done this year just because I'm not going to have enough shed roof space for how many are going to be out there next year. So that is going to happen this year. But a new building is not going to happen because of some other things that could happen here in this year or next year, and I don't want to. I would have to finance it, and I don't want to finance that right now because of what else could be coming up. So that's the situation with the sheds. I would really like to pour more concrete in my steer lot. If nothing else, it'd be nice to pour another 20 foot wide by 66 foot long, and then a little bit over here. I like to go over far enough that goes underneath the alleyway and over where the stock tank is, enough that the cows can stand on concrete when they're at the stock tank. And then if they were to stay here, I'd pour more concrete later. And if build a new cattle shed, this concrete is going to get equipment parked on it, whatever. So it won't be it's not like I'd be throwing money away at that. I really hate mowing around equipment, having equipment parked in the weeds. So I could park equipment on the cement and I don't have to mow around them and have the weeds grow up around them and all that happy stuff. So that's kind of the idea on that, but we'll see what happens this year. What else was there? Yeah, woodshed, addition on the horse barn, and then back behind here in the shop. And then if there's enough, after these steers go to the butcher shop, if there's enough money, I'd like to pour concrete there before I wean this fall. We'll see what happens. And eventually, I don't know. It's kind of got to see what it would cost to build a new building first. I might try and figure something out with the rain gutter. If I can get something to hold up here, it'll make a huge difference in having my cattle where they are now. But the other problem is it would be nice to have a curtain on here because every time it rains, we get wind out of the east and then it blows rain in the building. And a curtain wouldn't hold up, I don't think, because the cattle are on both sides of it. So I don't know if I could put 2x6s and use eave lighting or something. I don't know. I want to try and figure something out with that if they were to stay here. Otherwise, if they were to go over there, basically it'd be steel up so far and then eave lighting where I feel that the cattle can't hurt it. But on that building, there's not really going to be cattle on the back side of it. There's only be cattle on the inside, and I can put, OSB board up so high and then 2x6 to protect that. And then on the outside, basically it would just be an alleyway. And on there, I can just run electric wire down the side of the building. I don't have to worry about cattle pushing on it. But that's kind of where we're sitting with that. It's not going to happen this year. This year is going to be planning, deciding whether it's financially worth it or what's going to be the best option, best thing to do. A lot of it's going to depend on how much money it costs. Whether it's really financially worth building a whole new building or just finishing this, pouring concrete, and worst comes to worst, with my steers, I have some propane tanks, 1,000-gallon, I think they're 1,000-gallon tanks that are bought and already cut in half for me. And basically, you got your oval propane tank. The guy cuts them in half this way, and then you have two halves. They use them for bunks. Well, what I had him do is cut the dome off two ends so I can flip them and then butt weld them end to end, and then just get some pipe or whatever, notch them out, and then set them on there so those will be legs. I have to go pick those up one of these days and get those built, but what I could do is build a roof over top of that, and then it would still be portable. I can move it around, but it should keep most of the snow and rain out of my steers bunk. Problem is, it'd be harder to feed into with the TMR mixer, and when I get a new TMR mixer, I really don't want one with any type of discharge augers or discharge conveyor. I just want to shoot. So worst comes to worst, I am trying to find a stationary. What I really want, a stationary with electric motors that I can put in the north lane too, so it's always in a building. And then just a conveyor where I can pile it, I can go in there with a skid loader, scoop it up, and then carry it over to the bunks and feed. Because chances are I'll just keep doing what I'm doing now and just feed, my young stock here, feed the silage to my cows here, and then feed hay out in the field. That's kind of what I'm looking for, but I'm not finding. Last couple years, there's been a couple night 2170s on auctions, and I messed up last year. I missed the auction. I thought about an hour and a half after the auction was done. I went on there and a nice 2170 with all new liner and everything in it went for $575. And it had a 10-horse electric motor on it. Everything worked. It had a brand new liner in it. So I'm kind of messed up on that one. And then there's some other ones. I haven't seen one go for over $1,500. That's in fairly decent shape because apparently nobody wants stationaries anymore. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, and I do want to start mixing TMR for my steers for sure. Cows to be decided. I do a lot of the reason I feed silage to the cows is to kind of cut back on the hay. If you get more tonnage off cornfields, but a lot of the reason I feed the corn silage is because I mix mineral with it. So that way I know they're all getting minerals. I have free choice as well, but they don't really eat a lot of it. So basically I'm putting the mineral in there to make sure they get it. During the summer, they eat a lot more than they do during the winter. So basically I'm just trying to make sure they get enough. Since I've done this the last couple of years, I don't have near the issues with calving. Cows not cleaning. Issues with calves later on. A couple of years ago we had a couple problems with some calves being, I think it was phosphorus deficient or whatever. So since I started doing this, I haven't had the problem. So that's kind of that deal. I am looking at bidding on, dealing on some equipment right now. I don't want to put that out there what I'm dealing on, because that'll be videos to come if I get the stuff or when I get it. Yes, I am still looking at tractors. Kind of, I've been looking at another skid loader. I don't know. I've mentioned in the past, I'm kind of looking for a smaller tractor and loader, but I think what I'm going to do is try and find a loader for the 64. Put a joystick on them. Find a 7200 through a 7600, something of that size there, preferably a 7600. Just put a loader on the 64 and then find a second skid loader. That way I can leave the tracks on this one. And then basically this one will be for dirt work, manure work, that type of thing. New skid loader will be for feeding and that, because I want to get one with a 2-speed and one with the newer style factory enclosed cab, not the old 90s style enclosed cab. Now that this one no longer has a heater in it, the heater hose is blue, and as a quick fix I just put a U in there so I don't have heat anymore in there, which I can fix it, but the heater's not that great to begin with. So that's kind of what's going on there. I don't know if skid loader is going to happen this year or not, but it's kind of slated for one of the next purchases. But we're going to see how this summer goes first before we buy any real big purchases, because of said other big deal that could be coming through. Some of you may already have an idea of what that is. It's undecided. I've mentioned to my banker. We've kind of discussed it a little bit. We're kind of just, I'm not going to say anymore. We're just going to leave it at that. So that's the equipment deal. And then the other thing is live stream. I've been asked a couple times if I would do another live stream, and I will definitely do another live stream. I guess I'm going to ask right now, what works the best for everybody? Which it's not going to work the best for everybody. One thing's going to work good for one, something different for somebody else. But I would do a live stream this weekend. What time? On what day? Sunday morning before 1 o'clock does not work. Sunday afternoon anytime would work. And then anytime Saturday would work too, when I'll do a live stream, then we can do more of this question answer type thing or whatever. So let me know what you guys think on that. We could do live stream this weekend, or if a day during the week works better. I know during the week is harder for everybody because some guys work mornings, some guys work nights, some guys work all day. Right now there's not a whole lot going on, so I can pretty much do it almost any time except for Sunday morning, and except for any other day around between 10 and 12. That's kind of the time when I'm bedding and feeding and doing that kind of thing. So other than that, let me know what you guys think. We could do a live stream here too. What else? I think that's about it. So we're ready to play in the mud. Once it dries up a little bit, skid loader's probably going to go up in the woods and push some brush. I've got a lot of trees cut down this winter, a lot of brush piles that need to be pushed around, kind of consolidate a couple of them. I'm going to burn some. I don't know if I'm going to burn them this summer or if I'm going to get them piled up and burn them next winter. Preferably probably next winter, but if get them all piled up so they can dry a little bit, they'll burn good next winter. That's kind of what's going on there. So anyhow, let me know what you guys think about a live stream. Any ideas on new sheds? Give me your ideas and inputs on that. What do you guys think I should do? Other than that, and then I have one other question for you guys who have told me about spray foam insulation in buildings. If I go and spray an inch or an inch and a half spray foam up my ceilings, I already got the price on the kits to do it. Can I paint that spray foam white after it's done? Or if I spray an inch this year and decide next year I want to spray 2 more inches on it, can I go and respray over top that and it'll adhere to it good enough? Or is it something you kind of want to do all at once? Biggest thing is the paint. I'd like to just do the 1 inch to get everything sealed, blow another 16 inches up above, should put us over an R60, we should be good there. Biggest thing is I want to seal this. I want to redo my lights anyways, but I'd like to paint it white after it's done, because it looks a lot better if it would be white instead of yellow. but I don't mind yellow either, but white would be better. Who knows, maybe with the new LED lights in here, it won't be such a dungeon, and I won't really care what the color of the roof is, or the ceiling. But let me know what you guys, any of you guys that have experience with that either, because that is something we're going to do this year. I found the place where you can order the 2 tanks and everything to do it, and I think it was going to be like 1,500 or 1,600 to do an inch and a half, something like that, on the whole 1,350 square foot, and then it was kind of giving me a little extra to kind of come down a little bit, you know, partway down the wall, because I'm gonna do around there before I put the steel back on after we fix the wall insulation. So let me know what you guys think. Live stream, spray foam, buildings, whatever. One more thing. Saturday is my 1-year anniversary of making my first YouTube video. Almost 1,700 subscribers. I want to thank every one of you that watch every video, comment on every video. Thumbs up. I appreciate it. It's been fun for the first year. Got a new phone, this camera. I've got 2 pairs of glasses, so new magnetic mount. So hopefully this year we get better footage, more videos. So yeah, hopefully year number 2 is better than year number 1. So thank you everybody. Thank you everybody who watches. Thank you everybody who subscribed. Thank you to everybody who comments. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Look forward to year number 2. Anyways, I'm gonna cut this one off right now. Say thank you, and let me know what you think on live stream. Catch you guys later. Have a good one.